criminalize the Good Samaritan and Jesus Christ himself. I have been on record on this, against this kind of demagoguery, this mean-spiritedness. And, you know, it is something that I take very personally, because I have not only worked on behalf of immigrants, I have been working to make conditions better for many years. I was so honored to get the farm workers endorsement last week, because for so many years I have stood with farm workers who do some of the hardest work there is anywhere in our country. So we may be looking at the immigration reform issue as a political issue, and it certainly has been turned into one by those who I think are undermining the values of America. It is a serious question. We have to fix this broken system. But let's do it in a practical, realistic approach. Let's bring people together. And I think as president, I can. You know, I've been going to town halls all over America, and I see the people out there, thousands of them who come to hear me. And you know, they're nervous about immigration, and for the reasons that the economy isn't working for people. The average American family has lost $1,000 in income. They're looking for some explanation as to why this is happening. And they often ask exactly the kind of question that Kim asked, with a real edge or a real, you know, amount of anxiety in their voice. And then I ask them, well, what would you do? If you want to round up and deport people, how many tens of thousands of federal law enforcement officials would that take?
All right.
And how much authority would they have to be given to knock on every door of every business and every home? I don't think Americans would stand for that. So we have to get realistic and practical about this.
Very quickly, Senator, why not then, if you're that passionate about it, let them get driver's licenses?
Well, we disagree on this. I do not think that it is either appropriate to give a driver's license to someone who is here undocumented, putting them, frankly, at risk, because that is clear evidence that they are not here legally. And I believe it is a diversion from what should be the focus at creating a political coalition with the courage to stand up and change the immigration system.
Yeah, the only point I would make is Senator Clinton, you know, gave a number of different answers over the course of 6 weeks on this issue, and that did appear political. Now, you know, at this point, she's got a clear position. But it took a while. And I'm just being, just in fairness, initially in a debate you said you were for it. Then you said you were against it. And the only reason I bring that up is to underscore the fact that this is a difficult political issue. Now, from my perspective, I agree with Bill Richardson that there is a public safety concern here, and that we're better off, because I don't want a bunch of hit-and-run drivers because they're worried about being deported, and so they don't report an accident. That is a judgment call. But I do think it is important to recognize that this can be tough, and the question is, who is going to tackle this problem and solve it? Many of the solutions that Senator Clinton just talked about are solutions that I agree with, that I've been working on for many years, and my suspicion is, whatever our differences, we're going to have big differences with the Republicans, but I think a practical, common-sense solution to the problem is what the American people are looking for.
Well, I just have to correct the record for 1 second, because obviously we do agree about the need to have comprehensive immigration reform. And if I recall, about a week after I said that I would try to support my governor, although I didn't agree with it personally, you were asked the same question and could not answer it. So this is a difficult issue, and both of us have to recognize that it is not something that we easily come to, because we share a lot of the same values. We want to be fair to people. We want to respect the dignity of every human being, every person who is here. But we are trying to work our way through to get to where we need to be, and that is to have a united Democratic Party with fair-minded Republicans who will join us to fix this broken immigration system.
All right, we're going to talk a lot more about this. We're going to take a quick break. We have a lot more to talk about. You can follow all of the action, by the way, on CNNPolitics.com, and there's a lively dialogue going on there right now, CNNPolitics.com. We'll take a quick break. We'll pick up with two issues, experience and character, and then move on to a lot more right after. Welcome back to the Kodak Theater here in Los Angeles. We're continuing this Democratic presidential debate. The next question goes to Doyle McManus of the Los Angeles Times.
Senator Obama, a few minutes ago we heard Senator Clinton refer to her tenure in the United States Senate. And in fact, one of her overriding themes in this campaign has been her experience. And a lot of Americans agree that she is better prepared than you are to manage the nation's economy, to be commander-in-chief from day one. Why are they wrong?
A lot of Americans disagree and think that we need to move forward with new leadership. So that's why we're having this contest. I have spent my entire adult life trying to bring about change in this country. I started off as a community organizer, working on the streets of Chicago, providing job training and after-school programs and economic development for neighborhoods that have been devastated by steel plants that had closed. I worked as a civil rights attorney, turning down lucrative corporate jobs to provide justice for those who'd been denied on the job or at the ballot box. I worked as a state legislator for years, providing health care to people who did not have it, reforming a death penalty system that was broken, providing tax relief to those who needed it. And in the United States Senate, I've worked on everything from nuclear proliferation to issues of alternative energy. And in each instance, what I've found is that the leadership that's needed is the ability to bring people together who otherwise don't see anything in common, the ability to overcome the special interests, and I passed both in Washington and in Illinois comprehensive ethics reform that opened up government so that the American people could be involved, and talking straight to the American people about how we're going to solve these problems and putting in the hard work of negotiations to get stuff done. So I respect Senator Clinton's record. I think it's a terrific record. But I also believe that the skills that I have are the ones that are needed right now to move the country forward. Otherwise, I wouldn't be running for president of the United States.
Senator Clinton, you've been a senator only a few more years than Senator Obama's been a senator. What experience as a first lady qualifies you to be president of the United States?
Well, I would go back 35 years, Wolf, because when I first got out of law school, I didn't want to go to work for a law firm. I wanted to go to work for the Children's Defense Fund and to work on behalf of abused and neglected kids and kids with disabilities and kids who didn't have education or health care. And I really spent a great deal of my early adulthood, bringing people together to help solve the problems of those who were without a voice and were certainly powerless. I was honored to be appointed by President Carter to the Legal Services Corporation, which I chaired, and we grew that corporation from 100 million to 300 million. It is the primary vehicle by which people are given access to our courts when they have civil problems that need to be taken care of. I've run projects that provided aid for prisoners in prisons. I helped to reform the education system in Arkansas and expand rural health care. And I've had a lot of varied experiences, both in the private sector as well as the public and the not-for-profit sector. And certainly during those 8 years that I was privileged to be in the White House, I had a great deal of responsibility that was given to me to not only work on domestic issues like health care, and when we weren't successful on universal health care, I just turned around and said, well, we're going to get the Children's Health Insurance Program, and I'm so proud we do, because now 6 million children around the country every month get health care. And I took on the drug companies to make sure that they would test drugs to see if they were safe and effective for our kids, and began to change the adoption and foster care system. Here in California, because of the Adoption and Safe Families Act, we have 3 times more children being adopted out of foster care. And certainly the work that I was able to do around the world, going to more than 82 countries, negotiating with governments like Macedonia to open their border again, to let Kosovar refugees in, speaking on behalf of women's rights as human rights in Beijing, to send a message across the world that this is critical to who we are as Americans. And to go